Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. We are at Southern Cross Station again, ready to take the newest current train on the Melbourne Metro network, the HCMT, to the newest extension of the network, to East Pakenham Station. There it is. This extension opened this year, one extra stop to East Pakenham as well as the rebuilt Pakenham Station. So let's go check it out.
He's always on.
The next station is Flinders Street.
I don't think it's a matter if you come to that.
Right, giving 3 stops, one of which is Arnold. What is this stopping on station?
I thought it was
Huh?
So the hearings each day on court, and so you can work it out. So my wife has a relationship she hasn't told me which one she's interested, but she's got a fair idea.
Oh, they always skip it, that's why.
And when she started, but there's probably multiple rooms for one children. Because they seem to have a different system, because they seem to be going somewhere else. Rarely see them
Now arriving at Flinders Street.
but just it's always
otomatis kan kan mama pasang langsung otomatis halo muncul suara itu terus dimatikan lu tak pakai itu sekarang langsung
Flinders Street.
Hello and welcome to the Pakenham train line. For this video I've decided to actually provide a voiceover because honestly I barely talked during the train journey, mainly because I was really tired because I actually woke up at like 12:30 p.m. on that day and the only thing I did in the entire day was go to Pakenham and back pretty much because it's such a long line. I mean, and back on the Cranbourne line. Yeah, I don't know, I just had some late nights while I was there. Anyway, that's not the point, so I just don't want it to be a bland video, especially for the longest train line I think by time, so I'm gonna do this voiceover. Hopefully it doesn't make it too weird because it's probably really echoey. So the Pakenham line is one of two lines travelling towards the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, the other one being the Cranbourne line of course, and these are the only two lines which are fully operated by the HCMT newest train type, which started service at the end of December 2020. Now, these trains were purpose-built for the new metro tunnel, which is one of the biggest projects undertaken in Melbourne recently, to build a new underground tunnel from Pakenham and Cranbourne lines to the Sunbury line underneath the CBD with 5 new underground stations, 2 of which will be directly connected to the current Flinders Street and Melbourne Central stations, but with different names of Town Hall and State Library. So it's supposed to open sometime this year, and actually I hope I can go back for the opening because after having been on every train line, I really think I should go back, check it out. So it's gonna go up to connect to the Sunbury line, which means the HCMTs will through run there and go onto the Sunbury line, and then they will be regularly there, unlike at the moment, which is part of the Northern Group, and so it's operated mainly by Comenge and Siemens trains up there. There is actually 2 morning services which go inbound towards the city, currently operated by HCMTs. Those are the only 2 scheduled services on the Sunbury line run by them, and there are lots of them stored up at depots on that line, but they don't really run in service too much. So the HCMTs are the first fully walk-through trains for Melbourne, or at least in the modern fleet, with 7 cars, while all the other trains are 6 cars with 2 together, so each one is a 3 car, but here's full 7 car walk-through, and they only operate on these 2 lines. They have tested elsewhere, but now they're only permitted to run here, and that's mainly because in the city loop, which they actually won't be running through anymore once they run through the new metro tunnel. So actually I should have probably filmed some more clips of them in the city loop, but I didn't really know at the time. But what they did was, usually before, a while ago, all 4 tunnels of the city loop actually switched direction in the middle of the day. But now only 2 of the tunnels still do this, and this is because for the Mernda and
Now arriving at Richmond. Change here for Belgrade, Lilydale, Alamein, and
just letting you hear the
Greenway
long announcement
services.
of Richmond. Massive station there, and we can switch to lots of lines. Actually here we were slowing down and stopping because there's a V-Line train in front of us. V-Line shares the entire Pakenham line, and there's actually no points for them to pass or cross over, so it's really bad. They get stuck behind the suburban trains, unlike on most other lines, and even though Richmond has 10 platforms, our train also got stuck, despite already being late. But anyway, what I was saying is, they changed the Clifton Hill Group tunnel in the city loop, which is for the Mernda and Hertzbridge lines, to be one direction only, because there was a flat junction where it exits, and that meant that in a particular direction, trains from opposite directions were conflicting at that junction. So then they decided to make it one-way permanently, while the tunnel for the Pakenham and Cranbourne lines was made one-way permanently because the HCMTs are actually longer, as I said, 7 cars, So they actually had to move the signals up further down into the tunnel so that the drivers could still see them. Similar to the C-Series issues at Perth Underground and Elizabeth Quay, and because of that they only did that work in one direction, so again they made it permanent one direction for the HCMTs in the City Loop.
Richmond. Change here for Belgrade, Lilydale, Alamein and Glen Waverley services.
But once the Metro Tunnel opens, the Frankston line is actually going to take the place of the Pakenham and Cranbourne lines in the City Loop, which will not be operated by the HCMTs. So if they wanted to, they could revert back to switching in the middle of the day, although really that's a confusing procedure and I don't really like it, and they should probably phase it out.
The next station is
I don't think
South
they'll
Yarra.
put that back. And with the Frankston line doing that, that means that it will no longer be able to through run to the Werribee and Williamstown lines. Had to wait for a signal at Richmond, even though it has 10 platforms. So bad. There's a V-line train apparently which just left in front of us, also going all the way through to East Pakenham and way further beyond. The next stop is South Yarra. Why didn't it say change for Standing Tram though? You can change there for that, because then it splits off. There's a freight train coming here. It's gonna come right next to us. Anyway, that's one of the few things they said while I was actually on the train. But what I was saying is, with the Werribee and Williamstown lines no longer through running with the Frankston line, they're going to instead be through running with the Sandringham line from our last video, which means the Sandringham line is going to have quite an increase in frequency with 2 lines through running to it, and will no longer be terminating at Flinders Street. And both the Werribee and Williamstown lines will actually be coloured pink, while the Sunbury line will actually be coloured blue, same as the Pakenham Cranbourne lines at the moment. So there's really a lot of changes coming with the Metro Tunnel opening, as well as of course the underground stations, which will be HCMT trains only and have platform screen doors, which will be a first for Melbourne. So I'm really interested in that and would love to go back once it's actually opened to see that. And I also don't know what's going to happen with the Frankston line frequency, because at the moment...
Now arriving at South Yarra. Change here for Sandringham services.
At the
Okay,
moment,
good, it's set
Frankston
in
lines
now.
every 10 minutes because it's got 2 lines through running into it. But then afterwards, I don't know if they'll reduce that and have Sandringham as 10 minutes, but whatever. Okay, so I guess that's enough information about the Metro Tunnel now. Now let's talk about the Pakenham line itself. As I said, it is the longest line by both distance and travelling time, I'm pretty sure, for the suburban metropolitan network in Melbourne.
South Yarra. Change here for
It's about
Sandringham
55 or so kilometers, and it recently in 2024 got extended to its new terminus at East Pakenham, as well as Pakenham Station being rebuilt as an elevated station as part of the level crossing removal project, which allowed for V-line trains to better coordinate around the suburban trains at Pakenham.
The next
The East
station is
Pakenham
Malvern.
station allows the suburban trains to get out of the way instead of blocking V-line trains at Pakenham like they used to. And they also have a big depot and maintenance facility for all the HCMT trains beyond East Pakenham. East Pakenham is really in the middle of nowhere. It's a similar situation to Yanchep or Ballajura new stations in Perth, which we'll see later. They've provisioned it for future development. They don't even have, it doesn't even have buses at the moment, so it's literally like no one's going to use it. But it's very far out of the city. Pakenham line also includes the Cranbourne line, which is a 3-station spur off from the Pakenham line after Dandenong station, serving Cranbourne and Merinda Park and Lynbrook. You'll see that in the next video. I just got a short clip of that unique section for the Cranbourne line. I'm not going to film all the way back to the city.
It's a Friday, they'll finish.
Now this section that we're traversing right now after South Yarra is still sharing tracks with the Frankston line as well. The Frankston line splits off after Caulfield station, but it actually stops at all these stations here in between, at Hawkesburn, Toorak and Armadale, yep, sharing names with Perth. Armadale Station. Okay, we're skipping 3 stops here, which only Frankston line stops at usually. Although there's still platforms here, but there's no trains departing. There, I just explained it for you. One of which is Armadale. A bit of a repeating myself there because I don't really know what I said at the time. And that's the only stations we're skipping on this. But yes, that is the normal scheduled skipping, which almost every train basically does. So they almost never use those platforms. Now before, there was a bit of flexibility because around Caulfield there were actually crossovers to be able to switch between the Frankston and Pakenham and Cranbourne line tracks. So if there was an incident, they could just switch to the other tracks and then use the other platforms since all the tracks have platforms. But they were removed in 2023, I think. So now you can no longer do that, and those platforms are pretty useless, but that's how it is. Most express tracks in Melbourne actually have platforms associated with them, so there's a lot of flexibility in the operations. There's not actually many tracks which run past without a platform. There's also a bit of weirdness here. I think in the outbound direction the trains actually stop at Malvern, but in the inbound one they skip Malvern as well. I don't really know why. Or maybe that's just how I experienced it in the services I was on. We will see these stations and announcements in the Frankston line video, stopping at Armadale as well. Oh gosh, it's a story with the Frankston line video. Basically what happened was, on the day I was going to Frankston, I was planning to have a day where I was looping around the entire bay. What's the bay even called? Here, this is Armadale. All these 3 that we skipped look like exactly the same. Anyway, just the main bay of Melbourne. The plan was to take the Frankston line down, then take the very limited Stony Point service to Stony Point and back to Frankston, then take a bus all the way to Sorrento, another Perth name, and the ferry to Queenscliff, another bus to Geelong, spend some time in Geelong, which is like the secondary city of, like, near Melbourne, kind of like Mandurah, which it also has a V-line train connection, taking about an hour to get back to the city to Melbourne. But unfortunately I left our apartment like 2 minutes too late, and I didn't get the correct Frankston train. So I actually got to Southern Cross and kind of cheated by getting on a V-line train, trying to overtake the Frankston train and get on at Caulfield, even though you're not supposed to get off at a suburban station. But that failed. I did actually overtake the train, but I wasn't able to run to the platform in time at Caulfield, unfortunately. So then that completely failed, and on that day I just still went to Frankston, but then not much more. But then I returned. Now this is Malvern, and then the East Malvern station is on the Glen Waverley line, not even on this section of track, but it's like a kilometer away, which is where I got on after going on the Alamein line. Sorry, no, on that day then I went to Frankston and I did do the whole plan of going around the bay. Like 2 kilometers. To Geelong, but then I had to return like a week or so later just to do the Stony Point service. But don't worry, I did do it all. I filmed all the train lines. All 17, plus the City Loop, plus the Flemington Racecourse shuttle, plus main V-line services like the Geelong service, the Wyndham Vale service, and the Melton service. And I went out to Ballarat.
The next station is Caulfield.
So Caulfield is the interchange point to the Frankston line. It's a 4-platform station, and as I said, the V-line stops there as well. And also outside is actually the 2 closest tram stops in the entirety of Melbourne on Tram Route 3, which are only about 60 meters apart. Absolutely ridiculous. 60, 70 meters. I cannot believe how close they are. Now I did visit those stops, and you'll see it in a way later video when I did go on the tram lines, because I took all tram lines in full as well, but I didn't film all that because it's ridiculous and they're very full and you can barely see anything. but I did actually take them all myself, so that's how much I maxed out the transport in Melbourne, as well as a lot of buses I took. But that's why I really want to return when the Metro Tunnel opens, because it's another significant part for me to film.
Now arriving at Caulfield. Change here for Frankston services.
Now, the really funny thing is, actually, they're getting new trains again sometime this year. The Extrapolis 2.0 trains to replace more Commons trains for the Northern Group and such, which is so weird. Only 4 or so years, just over 4 years, between getting new HCMT trains and now already the new Extrapolis 2.0 trains. So I think they're not going to get any more HCMTs, although they already have 70 or so, which is like the same amount of just B series. That's how many trains we have. I mean, that's how many trains they have, but then they have like 250 Extrapolis normal ones or something, so it's crazy, so much. But yeah, the HCMTs were pretty much purpose ordered for the
Caulfield. Change here
Metro
for
Tunnel.
Frankston services.
Which is really surprising. I don't really get what features make it suitable for that, but apparently the other trains are not suitable to go into the Metro Tunnel, only the HCMT. I really do like the HCMT. It's very different to all the other Melbourne trains, and
The
it's
next
got
station is Carnegie.
screens in it, very good passenger information screens and nice seats and lots of good stuff. Kind of reminded me of the C series a bit, but then I saw photos of the Extrapolis 2.0 interior, and that is completely like the C series. Although the outside looks very different and honestly not that great on the Extrapolis 2.0. Meanwhile, the outside on HCMT is amazing. It is such a cool design. I was, even before I went to Melbourne, when I saw photos of these trains, I was so obsessed. They look so good on the outside. And the display of the destination looks so fake as well when you see photos. It looks like it's just like drawn, made up, but it's real. So cool. A lot about the HCMTs is good, but there's also one negative, which I'll tell you about in a moment. So here we are now entering onto the level crossing removal sections of the Pakenham-Cranbourne line. These lines have actually had some of the most removals along the network, mainly because they're going to become
Now arriving at Carnegie.
an even higher frequency section with the Metro Tunnel opening, and they've really rebuilt a lot of the stations into this elevated style. Here we are, the first one, Carnegie. From here you can actually walk to the Route 67 tram terminus, which is further down the street in Carnegie. Really weird spot, honestly. They really should have brought it up to the station, but oh well. I did do that later on my quest to ride all the tram routes. I'm a bit disappointed that all the stations look so similar, but I guess it's just how they do it with level crossing removals like this. It's cool they have that photo there of what the old station used to be like. And then there's quite a lot of this elevated section. Really nice to experience it, actually, from the first time for me to be on such an elevated rail line through suburbia. Though of course I did go on my trip to Kuala Lumpur not long after this with so many elevated sections, but that's not the same thing because it's not through Australian suburbia like this is and like the Armiton line will be. Anyway, next stop here is Murrumbeena. I don't think it even announces the next stop.
Now arriving at Murrumbeena.
Distance is so close here that it doesn't even announce. This is like Carlisle, Oat Street, or Queen's Park, Cannington, rebuilding stations that close to each other, and it's identical. Look at that. Crazy. And I'm about to say that in the video as well right now. Literally 100% identical stations everywhere they do level crossing removal. all along here. Now, honestly, these HCMT trains seem a lot more like a city urban train, yet they're running on some of the longest lines all the way out to the most far-fetched suburbs. But I guess when the metro
The
tunnel
next
opens,
station is Tuesdale.
they will actually be in there, and the only trains that will go in there. That'll feel more like their correct purpose than on these regional lines. Look at the parks down below. So much space under the railway line. That is exactly what the Armadale line
Arriving at Tuesdale.
is going to become. Another probably identical station. Yeah, almost. I mean, actually it's inverted here. The escalators go the other way.
Tuesdale.
The announcements are completely different on these trains, and they actually do say next station, but on all the other ones they don't.
The next station is Oakley.
They only say arriving at. Alright, anyway, now the next stop is Oakley, which is actually where you get off for buses to go to Australia's biggest shopping centre, Chadstone, which I did actually go there, and it wasn't as impressive as I thought, but apparently I only had explored half of it, didn't even find the other half. There's a hotel there as well, and so much stuff. It's really big, but looks quite repetitive and just big circle and get kind of lost. And you can also get there from the Glen Waverley line, pretty much just as close if you get off at Holmes Glen station. So we are back down on ground level here, not rebuilt like the previous few stations were. But anyway, as I was saying, there is a downside to the HCMTs, and that is in fact the smell. Yeah, when I first got on, and every time I got on after that, when you first get on, it's crazy. It smells so plasticky, so really this, like, I guess you could say it's new train smell, but they're not even that new anymore, and so really just like plastic and cleaning agents, and I don't really know how to describe it, but it's such a strong smell and it's so bad. It's so off-putting from being on these trains. I really don't... I'm really annoyed about the fact that it's like that.
The next station is Huntingdale.
Thorney Line extension. Another Perth suburb. Yeah, just like we're gonna have Thorney Coburn Link opening soon, but obviously not at station Huntingdale. But yeah, I just cannot believe that it smells like that, and I really don't understand why none of the other trains have these problems. I don't know if that's just me or if a lot of people experience that. If you're from Melbourne, let me know. Like, seriously, what is going on? Why is it like that? So, I mean, you get used to it after a while being in the train, you don't really smell it anymore, but the first 5 minutes or so, it's so bad, especially when you first walk in. Never experienced something like that before. So yeah, that's really the main problem.
Now arriving at Huntingdale.
I love the motor sounds as well on the HCMTs though. So unique. I've also never heard something like that on another train. Look at the quality of this station compared to all the elevated ones we were at. Just hot, old style, really ugly looking. Not even like the good heritage huts we see in other spots. And another train on the other side. So many on this shared section. It's so weird that all the HCMTs are just here and nowhere else. I really wish they were spread out more. They are a really nice train, except for what I was just talking about. But okay, let's keep going. This whole track here is just dead straight. Seriously, like
The next
it's
station
crazy.
is Clayton.
If there was not station spacing this close to each other, then the trains could run really fast out here. And see, this is another problem I have with the Melbourne network. In Perth, we have... And this is 20-minute frequency off peak, and so is the Cranbourne line, which gives 10-minute frequency to almost the whole thing, until where they split off at the end, where it's obviously 20, but that makes sense, because that's already so far away, they really don't need that high frequency. So I think that's one of the few branch lines where they're not running a shuttle to the interchange station like everywhere else where they do, which is what I'm used to, but whatever. I guess both make sense in different circumstances. Yeah, so in Perth we have Yanchep Manager lines, crazy station spacing compared to this, but it's really good, it makes it fast, makes it viable to take the train really as an alternative with how fast it is, and then awesome connecting bus network. Unlike here, stations still being rebuilt to typical heritage line station spacing distances, and the connecting buses just randomly going past the stations and the main roads, not actually having proper interchanges. I would definitely try to reduce the amount of stations, but I guess that's just not how they do it in this city. That's just a unique Perth thing that I'm used to. And back to the elevated sections. Again, looking exactly the same.
The next station is Westall.
Now Westall is actually a spot where some peak hour trains do terminate. I've seen a lot of trains with Westall Desto when I was there in peak hour. The last stop is brand new because it just opened 3 months. Another crazy thing is the destination boards on all these HCMTs say E Pakenham for East Pakenham instead of East Pakenham. I remember when it first opened, I was watching the videos about it just to see, because actually a new train line extension, instead of just rebuilding old stations in Melbourne, actually hasn't happened for so long, since the Mernda line extension, I think, when it went to Mernda, at least for metropolitan trains. And I was just so weirded out by that, just like everyone else was. I don't get why they couldn't put East Pakenham everywhere. It just said E on the interior boards and outside. Yeah, you can see the crossover there for terminating at Westall. But then I've also seen videos of a train where it actually does say East Pakenham on the side of the train, but then on the front of the train it just says East.
Now arriving at Westall.
And nothing else, just East, if it's like that. I don't get what that is. It's some sort of technical issue or something, because it could definitely fit. There are longer station names that can fit on, so I don't understand what the problem is. Even just that boarding, like, okay, maybe not, but via City Loop is already, what, like 13 characters? East Pakenham's not much more. I wonder if the other trains would say that as well. But having anything other than a HCMT running on the Pakenham line is extremely rare. It's like saying you're going to see something other than a B series in the Epford line, for example.
The next station is Springvale.
Literally never do, honestly, anymore. Maybe not that rare, I don't know, but I have seen a few times there was a comment sent down, but I don't think recently, and I don't think ever in service to East Pakenham, but you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Here they actually
Now arriving at
did a
Springvale.
dip down station instead of elevated in a trench. Finally, a different type of level crossing removal station is actually sunken, unlike those 4 identical elevated stations.
Springvale. The next station is Sandown Park. Now arriving at Sandown Park.
Yeah, really crazy. How many stops, as I said, and then the difference in what they're like. Look at this massive HCMT train. Every time I see one, it's just so cool. The front looks so good, as I said before, but just having such a big train at these stations, going all the way out to the rural areas, is crazy.
Sandown Park. The next station is Noble Park.
And really, I don't think there's many express patterns which run down this line, unlike some other lines, so it makes this journey even longer. So bad, it can take an hour and a half at worst cases. Like when I went back to Melbourne from the Cranbourne line and we got stuck at Murrumbeena for a really long time. There's some delays and it just took so long, crazy. Now actually what they've done is, with the V line going through Pakenham, you're Pakenham and Sunbury are the only two exceptions in the metropolitan train network where you're actually allowed to take the V line to or from the city and to
Now arriving at Noble
that
Park.
terminus, which is because at least at Sunbury the residents were complaining when they extended the Sunbury line from Water Gardens to Sunbury that they're now forced to take slower metro trains instead of the previous B line trains they had, even though the frequency obviously increased. So then they just said, okay, this is an exception. And I think probably the same thing happened at Pakenham whenever that was extended. So it's pretty cool. I wish I'd known that earlier though. I mean, no, I had to take the Cranbourne line back anyway. But my friend who was with me here was in Pakenham, and then he wanted to go straight back. And the V line was right there, and I told him he can't go on it, but actually he could have.
Noble Park.
That's kind of sad, but oh well. It's like not even half an hour of time wasted, but it's just silly of me to have said that. Although when I was at Sunbury, I actually did take the V line back, even though I also thought it was not allowed, but I saw so many other people doing it, so I thought it was just
The
like
next station is Yarraman.
common practice to cheat and do that. But then I actually found out that was okay. And it's so much better. I love the Velocity train down the Sunbury line. It's so much better than the Comminge trains. And yet another station named after the Yarra River here. Yarra Man, and then we also have Yarraville and South Yarra, and is there any more? Don't think so. Yeah, I just checked.
Now arriving at Yarraman.
So there they made an elevated bit to go over the road, but then it goes back down into an old station at ground level. Not good, honestly. There's been like 6 identical stations. It looks so bad to just have everything look the same.
Yarraman. The next station is Dandenong.
And this is where they construct the new trains, including the new Extrapolis 2.0, which the first one was just finished this week, which is going to be the 5th type of metropolitan train operating. Going to remove all the common sets with the introduction of those, but they're probably going to be together for a while. Can't believe there's already something newer than this, and these ones feel very new. V-Line, Velocity. There's 2 HCMTs there just in the siding, and there's a bus depot. And there's more HCMTs on the left. So many buses. And
Now
sidings.
arriving at Dandenong. Change here for Cranbourne services.
Yep, and this is the last shared stop with the Cranbourne line, which will now branch off, and for the rest of this, it's 20 minutes frequency off peak. And there's 3 platforms here. Anyway, I think future me on the voiceover, not me in the video, but has really been talking enough now. I've told you a lot, everything I needed to about the metro tunnel and the
Change here
HCMTs
for Cranbourne services.
and all that stuff which was relevant to this video, making it better than just being completely silent. But it's probably enough for now, so I'm gonna stop with the voiceover and just let you enjoy the sounds of the train and the announcements properly and whatever else I said while I was there. So, bye from voiceover Mark.
The next station is Hallam.
Just enjoy this Pakenham unique section in a bit more peace without all my talking. Only there is the branch off though, so much further off to the station. Was that an abandoned station? Just a random platform and footbridge there. Yeah, this is quite a long section. We actually have high speed now.
Now arriving at Hallam.
Ooh, side platform elevated station. Yay, finally something different again.
Hallam. The next station is Narre Warren.
Just a field, but it's already got like street poles in it. Definitely reaching the end of the metropolitan area now.
Now arriving at Narre Warren.
More elevation. Now here it's side platform again, but okay. This one looks a bit different though. I guess because of the color scheme. You know, like that's the simplest thing you can do. Just change the colors and it at least looks somewhat different. But no, they make them all the same bland colors, those other ones.
Narre Warren. The next station is Berwick. Network Control Centre. Buses will replace trains between South Yarra and Oakley from 8:30 p.m. this evening until the last service on Sunday, the 24th of November. Please plan ahead and visit our website metrotrains.com.au for further details. Have a great Friday afternoon. Thanks for travelling with Metro Trains. Now arriving at Berwick. Berwick. The next station is Beaconsfield.
More Perth suburbs again, Beaconsfield. There's actually a big hospital here, so it's not really like there's nothing left. It's just very much outer suburbs.
Now arriving at Beaconsfield.
What are they building there? Some new bridge which loops across the train tracks to get to the other side.
Beaconsfield. The next station is Officer.
Such a weird station name. Officer. It does not sound like a suburb. distances are actually a lot further than I thought. What is that? Just horses in the middle of suburbia. It's like one farmland house left. Yeah, it is quite far. There must be quite a big bus network to connect all of these houses up. School here as well.
Now arriving at Officer.
Or a massive car park next to an ugly industrial plant again.
Officer.
What is this bit of the platform at the end which has nothing under it? Is that like an extension they had to do just to fit these 7-car trains? Because all the other ones are 6, but HCMTs which now run down here are 7. And I've seen a lot of other bits where it got extended like that, although it still looks worn out, so it doesn't seem to be too recent.
The next station is Cardinia Road.
Another Perth suburb, but spelt with a C instead of a K. Cardinia.
Now arriving at Cardinia Road. Cardinia Road.
And finally, after 1 hour and 10 minutes almost, the next stop is Pakenham, which was the old terminus before the extension this year, although it's also
The
been
next
rebuilt.
station is Pakenham.
Rebuilt for level crossing removal. See, the video's only like 59 minutes, but we've already been on here 1 hour 10, so it's 11 total minutes of dwell time so far. Or when I was pausing it, which is so bad. So much time is wasted stopped at the stations. 11 minutes. Crazy. And that's not even all of it. I didn't pause it for the whole time. It's like more like 16 by now. here it's so weird, like every time they go to the city and run the city loop, they switch which direction the train faces the terminus constantly. But in Perth it's impossible to ever turn a train around anywhere on the network, and here's just every day, all the time, every line through the city loop, switch, switch, switch. Yep, here we go up onto the new elevated section. It's so weird that they did it even at the very end of the line, yet there's still crossings way further, I mean way closer towards the city. But I love the elevated sections for how far you can see everything. I can't wait to see what the Armadale line will look like from up the top. The hills over there.
Now arriving at Pakenham.
V-line looks so weird having the V-line here. So yeah, V-line stops at Pakenham, which used to be a problem when the station was down below. It would always block the main trains, the metro trains, but now the whole point of East Pakenham was to kind of separate it out so the metro trains don't wait here, and then they have a separate spot to wait there.
Pakenham.
Especially because the V-line train is always going through here and stopping for a period of time while the metro train is meant to be stalling there for its return service
Station is East Pakenham.
at the terminus. So it was really making a lot of delays. Now they just separated it out. Even though there's like almost nothing at East Pakenham at the moment, it's just a field, so it's not really meant to be serving any extended residential areas. It's just kind of an operational side of things, which is again stuff I learned from Tateset's video. As you can see, it's so empty. There's like 5-6 people in the whole train going all the way. Just grassland and this big city type train here. So strange.
Now arriving at East Pakenham. This train will be terminating at East Pakenham.
What is this? Why does it say like we're coming from somewhere before East Pakenham and it's going back to the city already? To Flinders Street. These screens are so good though. The whole time you have the map. It's so nice. And this is like, yeah, I don't know why I can't say East E, but this is like exactly like the C series screen, just a little bit bigger, and look how much better it looks. So bad.
East Pakenham.
How
This
the
train will be
C-Series
terminating
is
at East Pakenham.
terminating. Oh gosh, it's hot.
This one might be going back up eventually, but you can be back with it. That's what I'm doing. 16 minutes.
There's the shot from the front. Definitely the best type of train they have at the moment. Everything about it is very good. Here's the map. You just went all the way down here. East Pakenham. What's the star? Oh, this is construction complete 2024. Yes, well, it is complete now, so it's silly to still have that there. There's actually only 3 stops on Cranbourne Branch. I didn't even realize. This whole train is 7 cars long, as you can see. Now I can get a proper look of the inside. It's only got the Cranbourne and Pakenham maps on it because those are the only lines which they frequently run on at the moment. There's doors in between the gangways. Fire doors will close in this area. I can't believe they run these massive 6-car trains to 7-car trains to such a regional place, but it was actually full. Like, most of the seats were taken upon leaving the city, even though it's every 10 minutes on the corridor. It's really good patronage. Obviously not at the end of the line where it's just the empty fields, but it's still crazy that there's that many people from the city. And then this is the accessible area. There's actually one which is not just at the front like most of the other trains, next to the driver. And also the doors actually close when you're at the terminus, which is so much better than having them just sit open for the whole time like they do in Perth. Yep, and this is the very front, which is just no seats at all. Also 3 doors per car like the C-Series. Really a lot of similarities with these ones. And the screen displays and the sounds and the doors. And, well, not really the doors, but yep, I remember watching the video of when this opened at home in Perth on my computer. I was like, wow, it's so cool, they're getting new stations as well. They had much less fanfare. It was just at like 4 a.m. in first service. There was no official celebration, and now we're actually here. This is all that's outside the station, brand new, and it's just for industrial area, like you'd give like Wangara a train station or something in Perth, a terminus I might add. There's actually a sign there for buses already, 250 meters, but there actually isn't any buses running here yet, so it's all future proofing, just like Yanchep extension in Perth. But there is buses there at least, even because that's in the middle of nowhere as well, but there is buses, but this is in the middle of nowhere and there's no buses, so you can't even go anywhere. It's just if you're driving or this industrial area. That's this side, and it's kind of elevated above to allow for the underpass. The frequency will be increasing to every 12 minutes soon. There's, yeah. Then there's gonna be 6-minute frequency all the way on the shared section. Let's take a look at the other side. Here we go. I remember watching the videos and I was like, yeah, that looks pretty rural, but I didn't realize really how far away it is, because it takes an hour and 20 minutes on the train. You spend so long in rural suburbs. There's the bus stops, which are not in use, the car park, and a grass field. And that's literally it. I'm just gonna fill up my water bottle. And here we are on the ground level at the rebuilt Pakenham station, which also opened at the same time as the new East Pakenham. Wait, that's not the tag off. Never mind. See that? Just straight elevated section and rocks and grass underneath. This is where the actual developments are. There's the bus interchange here and the town center over there. Might go take a look around, and then I'll go to Cranbourne just for that little section as well.